I'm always delighted to be with Saul Anuzis, who's been such a leader in the conservative movement and the Republican Party.
Welcome to the Saul's Newsstand News Rewind for March 11th, 2022. A new op-ed by Saul Anuzis states, "Solutions, not gimmicks, are needed to fix the Postal Service." Postal reform is critical. Seniors, rural Americans, and small-town USA depend on the U.S. Postal Service for critical mail service where alternatives are not realistic and/or economical. However, shifting the health care costs to Medicare is a recipe for disaster, pushing Medicare closer to bankruptcy. The Washington Post's February 18th editorial, entitled "A Stamp of Approval," suggested that shifting the cost of USPS retirees to Medicare ignores the underlying problem. Rather than addressing real reforms to guarantee the viability of the USPS, politicians have proposed a shell game that puts seniors at risk while ignoring the underlying problems that need to be addressed. We need fiscally responsible solutions that don't burden seniors and taxpayers for poor management and planning. This shell game of transferring healthcare costs to Medicare is little more than a scam. Senator Rick Scott has offered an amendment to force real reform by stopping this accounting gimmick. This is a good first step. Congress should strive to find bipartisan solutions that tackle the systemic financial woes of the United States Postal Service, not bipartisan accounting gimmicks that will accelerate the stress on Medicare, an already fragile system. CNBC reports, inflation rose 7.9% in February as food and energy costs push prices to highest in more than 40 years. Inflation grew worse in February amid the escalating crisis in Ukraine and price pressures that became more entrenched. The Consumer Price Index, which measures a wide-ranging basket of goods and services, increased 7.9% over the past 12 months, a fresh 40-year high for the closely followed gauge, according to the Labor Department's Bureau of Labor Statistics. The February acceleration was the fastest pace since January of 1982, back when the U.S. economy confronted the twin threat of higher inflation and reduced economic growth. Inflation has roared higher amid an unprecedented government spending blitz, coupled with persistent supply chain disruptions that have been unable to keep up with stimulus-fueled demand, particularly over goods and services. And finally, the Daily Caller reports, Representative Tlaib says there is no inflation, blames corporate extortion for rising prices. Democratic Michigan Representative Rashida Tlaib claimed that corporations are to blame for increased prices in a U.S. House Committee on Financial Services hearing on inflation held Tuesday.
As you know, the pandemic has been, great for the richest Americans who have lined their pockets and doubled their wealth during the pandemic. As we all know, corporations have the nerve to blame inflation while consolidating their market power and raising the price of essential goods and services while working people foot the bill. For me, this is not inflation, it's extortion.
She pinned the issue on these companies repurchasing stocks, claiming that, quote, when corporations funnel their record earnings into stock buybacks, that's money they're not allocating toward capital investment, research, and development. Tlaib then mentioned former President Donald Trump, citing his tax cuts as a problem. This week, we'll let Nancy Pelosi have the last word.
Is it a secret that the Republicans have wanted to have? Did you not know that Romney had sent around a letter with all the senators signing it that said we have to take the money out of state and local government? This is not it. What may come as news to someone is that when you subtract money is subtracted.
And that concludes your Saul's Newsstand News Rewind for March 11th, 2022. For more political news faster, visit saulsnews.com.